Hi everyone, I am Saniya. This is cute little Yankee. And today I'm going to talk to you about an Excel function known as Vlookup. So it's a Vlookup and it's going to help you look up if you have a list of information in a column, some information, for instance, in my case, a list of names about genes, the genetic information. How do you look up information from a table about that? So that's what we're going to do. And Yankee's also going to learn how to do the VLOOKUP. It's something that was a bit tricky for me, but I think it's something that is a really helpful command. So let's get started, Yankee. And again, if you have any questions at all, please let me know. Let's start by saying that you have this list of information that you want to find, this list here of these 34 different genes. And you want to find information on them, like NAT2, SERPINA, AOC1, ASIC2, ASIC1, all of these different genes here. And you want to find information. And this information could be in some other table here, for instance, like the gene name, the entree ID, the gene description on these genes, the chromosome number, aliases as well. So let's just say we want to find these pieces of information. We want to find out, maybe we want to find out these pieces of information from this. So how will we do that? So what's important to note is for a VLOOKUP, so when we look up this information, so for these list of genes, we want to find out this set of information actually. We want to actually have this information on the entree ID for a gene, the gene description, the chromosome number, and gene aliases. So for each gene, we have all this information. For instance, like NAT2, the first gene, we can go here and we can search for it. NAT2. So this is the information, and acetyltransferase 2, and it's on chromosome 8, and it's also known by these other names here. PNAT, all these things. But do we really want to do that, Yangshi? Do we really want to do this for all 35 genes? That's a lot. That is indeed a lot. So we're going to need some other tool, which is called a Vlookup table, which is what I'm going to show you guys how we can do this efficiently using a Vlookup. So what is important to know is whatever you're looking up in the table, it must be the leftmost column. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I can just copy these to the same sheet and then delete these afterwards. I can just move it here for convenience. I can just paste it here. But what is important for me to note is that, and again, this info on the genes, it tends to be like around 12,930. So it's a giant database of gene information. So for these genes that we need information for, what I need to make sure is I am going to, because I'm doing a VLOOKUP, let me just actually delete these. I should make sure that the same thing. So if I'm looking up by the gene name here, I want to look up information on the gene name. Then in the corresponding region, the gene name, let me actually just delete this as well, and maybe also just delete that too. Okay. So in the corresponding region that we're hunting for, the gene name should be the leftmost column out of everything else here that we're looking at. So of all, we're looking in this table and we want to get this information on these other columns here. We want to get information on entree ID, gene description, NCBI, which is a resource, and the chromosome number and the gene aliases. We just want this information for this list of genes. And this is something that, you could do in programming as well, but I'm trying to show you guys how we do it here. So again, what we want to make sure is that we have this information and this whole table here, whatever we're looking up, the gene name should be the leftmost column here in this region here. And the way that the columns are ordered in a VLOOKUP is the following. They're ordered like this. But the way that the columns are ordered is the following. Okay, little Yankee wants to go. Okay. So the way that the columns are ordered is that this is going to be column 1 right here. And then these other ones are going to be, this will be column 2, will be the entre ideas. This is column 3. This is column 4. And then this is column 5 or X5. So gene name is going to be column 1. Entre ID is column 2, gene description is column 3, chromosome is column 4, and gene aliases is column 5. So that's how it works. So when you're doing a VLOOKUP, what's really important is that whatever you're looking up here has to be column 1 in this corresponding table that we're looking up, this data resource. So we will do VLOOKUP. So what VLOOKUP says here, and there's also an HLOOKUP, but VLOOKUP looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table, leftmost column 1, then returns a value in the same row from a column that you specify. By default, the table must be sorted in ascending order. What that just means is that, it's helpful for the searching as well. Like the order matters. So what will happen is if you have multiple NAT2s, it's just going to search the first find that is NAT2. That's what it's going to return. So if you had another row with NAT2, the same gene, and I don't think it's really possible, but if you had another row with NAT2, then it would just return the first find that it makes. So it returns the first row. So what all that's doing is the lookup value is going to be NAT2. That's what I want to look up. And the table array, you can select the region that you want. We can go and we can select it, and we can go all the way down to select it as well. So you can see that we're searching from A2, so we're looking for the value in A2, but we're searching G1 all the way. This is K, this is column K, to K12931. So we're searching that. Or if you want to make things simpler, what you could just do is you can just do, so if the specific region matters, you could do that, or we just know that we're looking in columns G to K. So this just selects everything in columns G to K here. Even below, it's not region specific. So that's always helpful because like let's say you add on more to this database reference table, then you don't want to have to worry about that. So that's what that is. So far what we're saying is let's look up NAT2 in this table here, this table from G to K. That's the table that we're selecting. To make that a little bit easier to see, I'll just delete this thing here. And this is again is column 1. So we're looking up this value A2 in G to K. And what we want to, so entre ID is column 2. So column index number should be 2. So your VLOOKUP would always be 2 or something higher because, we're looking up this value and we're looking up in column 2. And then I always usually do false for an exact match. So that's what this is. So all we're saying is essentially, let's look up this value NAT2. Let's look it up in this table. A2 is what is NAT2 is an A2. G to K says this is the region where we want to look it up, and we have made sure that the leftmost column would contain this value here, G to K, and then 2, false. That means that I want to get entre ID here, which is the second value. That's why we put the 2 here. That's why we put the 2 because of the entree ID. So this would be 2. That's why we have that 2 here. So that's what that would be. And now what we can do is we can just like kind of put this all the way down like this. So essentially what it's doing is it's just saying, let's look up subpoena A3. Let's look up in G to K, and then let's do 2 comma false. So I like it better that we have G to K because if like, you know, just the columns, because otherwise what you have to be concerned of is, let's say that I instead had this be like this, where it is very much region specific. Then what I need to do is I need to make sure that, so if I select this specific region, if I were to just double click and select this, what you'd see is this is G1 to, for this one is G1 to K12931 for this one. And then this one is G2. It starts with G2, and then this one starts shifting it down by 1. So you see that if we had selected specific rows and columns, we would have to like deal with this region shifting down, unless we did something like this, which is we are holding the region the same, you know, adding dollar signs in front. Then it would be preserved. So you see here, this region is preserved here, this region is still preserved. It's just an additional headache to do that. So that's why I just like, so, but if you want to keep the region the same and have a very specific region, then you need to put dollar signs before the column letter and row number. Otherwise, if we just have it like G to K, it's just going to always select those same, everything in both columns. So you don't need to specify those dollar signs. So this is always just going to select everything. That's why I do it. So then the other thing is that now for the gene description, it's the same idea. I'm also just doing a VLOOKUP. I'm going to do a VLOOKUP for NAT2. Again, I'm going to do it in G to K. And then I want to see, this is a region where, you know, so the lookup value is the same gene. The table array is from G to K. That's a reference information. That's a table array. The column index number is, so this gene description NCBI is column 3. So I'm going to put a 3 and then a false. So this 3 corresponds to this 3 over here. So what you see is that now this is a 3 because we're looking at gene description NCBI, whereas over here it was a 2. So the only thing that's really changing across these columns is that this will change to being a 3, this will be a 4, this will be a 5. And in fact, we could say, okay, well, if it's just going to be the same, let me just drag this over here. But if we drag this over here, what we'll notice is that this one is looking at B2. So we have to just make this look this thing up here. And not just this, we also have to keep track of, you know, H2L. So we want to make sure that everything stays the same. So how do you do that? One thing you can do is we can just keep the column the same. That's what A2 says. Keep the column the same, the row can vary. The dollar sign is basically saying what you want to fix. So if we have a dollar and then we have dollar A1 means keep column A. If we have A $1, it means keep row 1. That's what the dollar sign means. And then if we have a $1, it's a keep A1 cell, or just keep that specific thing preserved. So we want to just keep the column preserved at A and have the rows get adjusted. So what we want to do essentially is we just want to say, okay, let's just keep, and we can start from here, we can just say, let us just keep A fixed. And we can also just keep this region the same and fixed as well. And so what you'll see is we add $sign in front of A and $sign in front of G and K. And what we will do here is what this will do is it's just going to preserve everything. And then all we have to do is just change the 3. 2 to a 3. So it's keeping A2 fixed here, but it's allowing you to vary the rows. If we had put a $sign in front of A2, then it would have kept everything fixed at A2. You see, it would have kept everything fixed at A2, but we don't want that. We just want the column to be fixed in the A column. So because we're looking up everything in the A column, that's why we put the $sign here. So similarly here, we're just going to put this across now, and we can just have this come across. So for the chromosome, instead of it being column 3, so you see right now these are identical because I fixed everything. And the only thing you're going to notice that is going to really change across the columns is just this number right here. For chromosome, I want it to be 4. That's because of the 4 here. It needs to be a 4. Because that's what chromosome is in this reference table here. And then for gene aliases, I want this to be a 5 here, a 5. So I'm going to just change this to a 5. So you'll see that for entry ID, this is a 2. For gene description, I'm going to see which number it is. It's a 3. This one here is a 4 for chromosome. And gene aliases, it's going to be a 5 here. And to have it select for everything, I can just double click this square and drag it down, or I can just, drag this down here. And if I put some gene that is not found in this, like let's say I make up some gene like A, P, O, E, E or something. What will happen is, see now I selected it. So now it's going to look this up here in this table, and it's going to return NA because there's no gene description for it. There's no chromosome number. There's no gene alias for it. It could not find it. And let's say I want to add in Adam or Adam. Let me see, I want to add in this one right now. Adam, let me actually just. So nothing was found for this one, but let's say I change this now to, let me do it here so you can see it easier. ADAMDEC1. Indeed, we're going to see that this is a complete match. We're going to see. It's too thick. Okay, let me try it like this. This completely matches, so we are happy. So I'm going to put my happy star. So that's how you use a Vlookup as a reference table. And if it doesn't find something, my star is not really that great. So if there's something that does not get mapped, like let's say that I put this like, oh gosh. And you can see like if you add more cells, the references stay the same and stuff. It doesn't get affected as long as you add. If you do insert or deleting, it stays the same. But again, like if I like let's say, let me put this black thing here. So let's say that instead I change this to Adam DEC DES or something. It's not going to find it. It's going to look for it and not find it at all. So that's what the NA means. It's not found in the Vlookup. So that's just how you do it. You just use Vlookup, and you have to make sure that gene name is here. Like let's say that gene name was not here, then you can't do that. It's not going to work. If you move this stuff around, it will not work. It will be all kind of mixed around. So the important thing is just you have to restructure it so that your leftmost column of the reference table has whatever you want to look up. You can have entry ID here and you can have like gene name or something. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you want to do it this way. it all, and this will be like looking up B in this. What all that matters is that whatever you're using, we're using the gene name to get all this information. We're using the gene name here. And so it's important that in this reference table, this is the reference table with the information. This is the lookup table, the reference table. Oh, eeks. And this lookup table, this reference table, that whatever we're using to look up this gene name should be the leftmost. That's all that we care about. So yeah, this is just oh Yankee, I know you missed part of that, but that was just basically how we can use a VLOOKUP to get all this information for these list of genes that we have. So now in the end, what I will do is I'll just copy it and I can just paste it here. I can paste special. So for this list of genes, for whatever project or anything, I just want this information on them, I can do this. I can have this set of information. It's a quick way to gather the information on a list of genes, chromosome number as well, gene aliases. It's really nice because I can just add any gene here that I want to look up. If I want to look up like ADAP1, for instance, I can just, use this ADAP and it's going to update this for me. So it's pretty cool. It's like a little reference. It's kind of like these very neat tools and formulas that you can use with Excel. So Yangshi, it's really cool and very helpful for any projects, any work, anything in general, business, biology, anything. It's really cool. Excel is very powerful. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm Saniya again. This is Cute Little Yankee. And this is another tip with Excel. So if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please let me know if you have any questions at all. And I'm really happy to help in any way that I can. Thank you guys. And I hope you guys, thank you guys. Thank you guys. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.